Hello and good morning. Welcome again to Summit, where we discuss national issues spanning through education, health, politics, national issues, and also interview with personalities. You're welcome again. I am Jumoke Michaels. Today we are discussing about the new agitation from Afenifere Group and the Northern Elders regarding the creation of state police. Now, the creation of state police is not new. It has been a topic of discussion among various stakeholders, and like I said, recently involving the Afenifere Group and the Northern Elders. Now, some reasons for this agitation is the current security situation, which is widespread in Nigeria, talking about kidnappings, killings, cultism, and even police brutality. Also, the creation of state police is seen as a way to decentralize power, to give states more autonomy in managing their security situations. And to discuss this issue with me this morning, I have the managing director of Turret, a leading player in the security and logistics sector of the Nigerian economy. He's also a security expert. Join me this morning to welcome Mr. Adedayo Obatola. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to have you on Summit.
Yes. Thank you
for the first time.
Yes,
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so going straight into our discussion, what are your views on the current security situation in Nigeria, and do you think the state police can help address these challenges? Just a holistic view.
Okay, so I think that currently we are not there yet, but we're a lot better from where we used to be. The current administration has been able to do quite a lot in terms of trying to fix some of our security problems. However, we still have, the challenges of banditry, kidnapping, and the rest. And I'm sure that if state police is the way to go, I've said it in most of the forums, state police is the way to go. We will only just need to tell ourselves the truth as a country, so that we do not end up in another state independent electoral commission kind of arrangement where people can just use the state police to their advantage, against the citizens. Yes, so
that's the fear.
Yes.
All right, so one of the very, very major fears of people is actually their perception about the relationship between the federal government and state governments in terms of managing issues of security. What's your take on that?
Okay, so I think it's the way the country is structured. So, for example, while you have the state governor as the chief security officer of the state, you also have the commissioner of police who is answerable to the inspector general of police. And, by the time the commissioner of police needs to take his instructions, he'll take instructions from the inspector general of police. Yeah. Meanwhile, the state governor currently in the state.
And he's called the security officer of the state.
He understands the dynamics of the state, and he's not being expressly listened to. So that's why they said that's why there's this general perception that the relationship between the federal government and the state government. Some other times they drive on some initiatives in the federal government that are not expressly carried out, in the states. I know that there was a time where each state were supposed to come up with different arrangements in terms of banditry. Some did, some did not, and that automatically affects the entire, arrangement.
So is that why you think Amotekun and this one in the north, something K, I don't know, I can't remember the name. Is that why they seem not to be flourishing, so to speak? Because of course they are the creation of the state governors, not from the federal arrangement.
Yeah, so Amotekun and the other northern one, they need constitutional backing to be able to operate.
Okay.
And then they also need, it's going to take a while, but they also need acceptance. So you have times where, Amotekun would maybe arrest somebody and there's no proper arrangement or proper relationship the police would want the same suspect. You don't have that kind of handshake. So I think that if they have constitutional backing, they will be able to do more. They will be able to get funded properly. They also need to check the mental health of the people that they are employing. I've seen videos, I think in the East, a few weeks back, where their state security agency private arrangements went to beat up, I think, a cop house. So if those things are the things that we need to put in place, proper training, constitutional backing for the people, proper funding, and the training should be federal, and there should be that cooperation and collaboration.
So that's still the challenge with establishing some of these security outfits
Yes.
from state level.
Yes. So it's just like, for example, you have private security companies, private guard companies, and there's this current agitation too for private guard companies to use arms. So if you do not, it's also the way to go. If you do not empower people, empower those companies in that direction, then you will just end up like, imagine somebody staying on the road on Lagos Ibadan Expressway with a gun that cannot really do much, and you don't even have proper backup or collaboration. I mean, if it's the police, they have where they can reach out from. There's proper backup. They can come for reinforcements. There needs to be that handshake between the security agencies, the army, the police, DSS, civil defense, to be able to support these state-sponsored arrangements. Again, if this not gotten right, you will now then end up with another movement, right? Where if you don't have it properly structured, the same people who you have tried to empower to secure lives and properties in the state would then now become your threats.
I like
in
the
that
word
same
you
state.
used that you said structure.
Yeah.
Okay, so when this agitation is continues to burn, and it doesn't seem to want to abate in any way, have you seen any documents really talking about how the state police intends to be structured? Have you seen any state come up with it? Have you seen, maybe even from the federal? Is there anything on ground now to show how the state police is going to be structured?
To be honest, I know that there's that ongoing conversation even in the National Assembly. I haven't seen any documents anyway, but I know that they're having that conversation, and I'm sure that it will be looked at, properly. But in terms of documentation, I haven't seen. But I know that they are having that conversation, and I'm sure in no time they will be able to look at it. It's the only way for us to go because, for example, you can't employ a guy from the east, and bring him to Shomolu and expect that he would really perform well. Oftentimes people have cases now in their community and they don't even bother going to the police. If you go to your valet or your local chief, he's more likely to tell you the history of the particular person that has offended you and try to solve it locally. Those are the kind of things you would enjoy with, state police and, stuff like that. So I'm sure they're having those conversations. They know. The only part I'm worried about, like I've said, is if it's not gotten right, then there'll be a problem because you've had cases where there's election period, for example, and you do not want your opponent to leave the house to go and vote, and so you excavate the road. If you have, if the state police is under your control, then I'm sure that's what you would have used. But because maybe if the commissioner of police is not in alignment with your bad deeds, then you will now resort to other means. So these are the kind of issues. We've also had cases where, in some states, once you win your party primaries, you can as well go and start celebrating that you have resumed in your position. So those are the kind of arrangements that would happen in state police if not gotten right. It will be used as a tool.
That's everyone. Everyone that we talk to on this issue of state police, this is one of their biggest fears.
Yeah.
That people in power will always use it negatively.
Negatively,
It's
yeah.
been their fears. All right, so talking about relationship between other law enforcement agencies and local communities. You have said a bit about on the issue of the local communities, how they will fare, how they will thrive in with local communities like the Bales and the local government the local government chairman. Well, are they going to flow with local government chairman?
Yes.
That's the political side.
Side,
All
yes.
right. So, but other law enforcement agencies like the police themselves, from the federal state, how do you envisage that the relationship between the state police and the federal police will be like, and the local communities?
So I'm thinking that, I don't know, but I'm sure that the best way to do will be to absorb the current crop of policemen that we have and tweak it a little bit to say, okay, if you are from Lagos, remain in Lagos, and then let's try to take people back to their state
That's
to
another
indigenize,
angle.
yes, to the security structure. So that will work. But leaving the current police that we have, saying it's federal, for example, and then recruiting new people in different states, it will take another 10 years in Nigeria for them to understand themselves and have proper collaboration. Right, but if we use the current structure, tweak it a little bit, I'm sure we'll be able to have that. There's already a robust relationship between all the security agencies. Honestly, from the police to the army to the civil defense, there's already that. Yeah. Where there's a disconnect is between these state-sponsored security agencies and, the government security agencies, as they will be called, and also the private guard companies. Yes, so that's where we need to work on. And of course, there's also the factor of what people will call, looking down. So you just feel like, okay, I'm from the police, so you are from the state,
Yeah.
so I'm not supposed to be interfacing with you. Or a suspect was caught in a national national facility, so the case should be under anti-vandal, for example, in civil defense, and not under Amotekun. And then Amotekun is saying, but I caught the suspect. So those are the kind of
All manner of issues.
frictions that we'll have. But if they absorb the current structure, I'm sure they will just be able to run with it.
All right, so I like this idea you just brought up that it's just about tweaking the
Correct.
arrangement from the federal police a
Yes.
bit to say that, okay, go to your state. Okay, if we talk about that arrangement, are you saying it should be done 100%? Or maybe states should have more of people from their state? I don't know. People
Yeah.
should have more people from them. Or should it be 100% arrangement?
No, people should have more of people from their states. So, of course, we'll first of all understand how many people we have from Lagos, if we want to use Lagos as a model, and then we now add to it. All right. But what we are trying to achieve here is that, the guy in Aja would be able to identify the black spots in Aja. They know these black spots, and then they will be able to solve the problems. And then they will be able to call these people by their names because they grew up with them.
And then communicate in the language they even understand.
Yes, so that's it. Understand the traditions of the people, and another thing again I was going to add is for state police we would also need a commission. All right, just like what they've done now with the new tax bill, where they intend to have an agency that would support people's complaints. So we need that kind of service commission or inquiry commission. I don't know what it will be called, where people can report cases, and not just going from the past. Cases now that will be reported, and there will be solution to the cases that will be reported.
All right, so let's talk about benefits and drawbacks that will emerge in decentralizing policing powers to state governments. People's fears, what people have been saying. I know we've mentioned a few, but if there are still some more that you'd like to throw some light on.
Now, the benefits of state police would be one, of course, there will be effective policing, security of lives and properties. There will be less threats. People will be able to go into more areas and do more. people know in terms of cybercrime, for example, people know the guys doing cybercrime in their area, so it's easy to solve. All right, so those are the benefits, like I've said. And of course, once there's security of lives and property, there will be economic growth, economic prosperity, and all of that. But then, like I said, the drawbacks will be, if not gotten right, we would still have police brutality in another form. Because, now there's a difference between when somebody is brutalizing you from outside and when somebody can actually arm you from home, from your streets to everywhere. There's also the political aspect of it, where it can be used as a tool, for somebody to actually just tell you that for the next 5 years, you cannot come to my state, don't pass through my state. And it will be done because all they need to do is to man the roads, and you will not be there. We also have the issue of finance. I mean, if it's not financed really properly, people should not be owed their salaries. They should be paid prompt, trainings, and all of that. So, in terms of generally, I think state police is actually the way to go. We just need to look at it properly.
All right. So would you say that the benefits outweigh the drawbacks? Let's balance it.
in the benefits outweighs the drawbacks, but then the drawbacks would be very serious. I mean, I don't want to say, if we want to go by the Nigerian factor, we will be we'll be doing ourselves a lot of disservice if we do not get it right. We should better just continue with the current police that we have, maybe recruit more police people and stay there. But if we're going to do this, yes, there's going to be immense benefits, but we'll still have to, as we talk about the benefits, talk about the need for it to be looked at properly.
Get the structure right.
Right. And tell ourselves the truth, what we are ready for and what we are not ready for. There's a lot of copycat syndrome. The fact that they have NYPD and LAPD doesn't mean that we are actually really ready, for that. But I think we are, as a country. We will just need to tell ourselves the truth.
All right, so now that Afenifere has started another agitation, they have been agitating, but there's a renewed agitation for state police. What do you think drives their advocacy for this policy? Because, of course, you can't compare the level security situation in the south to that in the north. So looking at our terrain, what do you think is causing them to agitate for this?
For Southwest, there's, of course, rising insecurity, to be honest. You still have mild kidnapping. It might not be as exposed as what it is. I mean, a few weeks ago in Okwebi, someone was standing outside of his office and got attacked, and shot at with a guy on a bike. So those are the things. I mean, you have your waterways issues. People get kidnapped. There's still some buckets of crisis too on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway stretch. So we have that. Some other states too have their issues. So yeah, I think Afenifere should be supported and should be praised, because rather than wait till there's a total breakdown of law and order, they're starting to talk early, all right, so that these things can be done on time. It's all about being proactive as against being reactive. If we have major crisis already in all of those states, and that's when you want to start looking at Amotekun, all right? I mean, what's in Ondo, for example, we had the church situation. So yeah, that's why they are clamoring for all of that, and it's just important that we start early.
All right, so let's look at the other side of the coin. The northern elders are also agitating for creation of state police, even though they have, other little security outfits, like we said earlier. Operation Hardin K, so many of them like that in the north. So how do you think northern elders perceive the idea of state police? And let's look at it holistically. What are their concerns or expectations regarding this?
So to me, the northern situation is actually bad, like really bad. Um, you first of all, we need to go and look at our borders if we want to make any economic progress in this country. There's no country in the world where you can actually just cross from year to year and you are in Cameroon, or from year to year and you are in Niger or Cotonou and you expect to have peace. There should they have expanse kilometers of unmanned borders. So the government needs to look at manning those borders first. That's the first way to be able to restrict who even comes into the country. So no matter the operation, this and the different names that they have, if you are catching 5 terrorists per day and you have 50 terrorists coming into the country every day, you still have a major crisis on your hand, right? So, in their own case, they've gone through a whole lot. I used to do some jobs in Sokoto, Kebbi, and Zamfara. Some of the roads that I used to go on as at 2018, I can't even try it now. So you have people who cannot go to the farm, cannot go to market, and there's also the case of, it's still the truth. So a lot of these things are not even really born out of kidnapping or banditry. It's like a decoy. In Zafara, for example, it's common knowledge that there's gold, and mining of gold is what has led to, or natural elements that has led to some of these issues that we have. Driving people away from their community, their villages, and sometimes for you to even go to the market, you have to pay. I read that in the news some days ago. You have to pay levy, and people are ready to pay those levies just to have peace. In Abuja, in some places you have IDP camp, and a lot of people are displaced. So their own situation even has to do with we have serious government intervention, and I think that we also need to be very practical here. Government has set up development commissions. You have the Northeast Development Commission. You have Niger Delta Development Commission. What are they also doing in terms of supporting the security structures in their respective states? I mean, that's part of the reasons why they were set up, to be able to develop these communities. Even though it's an overshoot from what the governors are supposed to be doing, but we need to start looking at that and say, security. They need to support security well. They need to be serious about it. We've had the governor of Zamfara complain where he knows that you have bandits in X location, and then you're calling for backup, and then the man says he needs to get orders from the IGP. But if that kind of person now is in charge of his security, then he will go after the guys immediately. Again, funding. When we talk about state police, I'm hoping that the North and the South will get equal distribution of sponsorship in terms of the security. Because again, what will end up happening is a state that is rich or very interested in security would finance more. Right? So you have states with more gadgets and more sophistication.
That also comes to the issue of terrain.
Yes,
and
terrain
like
and
the north, the south, the terrain is different. The level of insecurity is different.
For example, so in the
shouldn't
north
all
now,
that be considered?
Yeah, so in the north now, what will be charged? What they are checking is banditry, kidnapping, south, cybercrime. So there are different situations. So you have maybe like the National Cybercrime Control Center for the guys in the south. You have a lot of phones getting hacked, and then when you check the location of where they are hacked from, is Uromi or one of those places. So they need to. So different states
Yeah.
or different regions with their different situations. Right. So that's that. You can't go to a market now like Mushi now and say you killed 100 people, but that can happen in Zamfara.
So, but do you think right now, since this is already in the National Assembly, do you see them actually passing this legislation supporting creation of state police? Do you see them?
I think the
doing
current, I think the current National Assembly will, and I'm sure and hoping that the current administration would also be open to passing the bill and signing it into law.
All right, so
I
if
think
you're-
we're going to have state police, in no time.
All right, so if you were to advise government now, what are some steps you will suggest that they take to be able to effectively set up state police?
Have conversations with traditional rulers within traditional rulers in Nigeria. I understand they have their own association too, so there should be extensive discussions with them. That would then translate to the states, and also have conversations with the states governors, and then listen to them.
So it should actually be like a grassroots thing.
Yes, it should be a grassroots thing, and then when you also want to appoint the people who are going to head this state's police, they should either be retired military or police people in the states who have reputable track records, that they can work with, and I'm sure we'll be fine.
So are there potential long-term implications of creating them? Will it impact our economy holistically?
Yes,
positively?
once there's security of lives and property, like I've said, there'll be economic prosperity. People will be able to go to the markets. People will be able to go to church. People will be able to do things, go to their
Farm
work.
especially.
Yes, people will be able to
Go
go
to
to farm,
farm.
and then there will be more food, and then there'll be a whole lot going on. There'll be more money, So I think that the benefits are there. Yes.
Thank you so much for helping us understand. But the part I like the most in this discussion is that your suggestion that these state police can actually be carved out from the federal police,
Police,
just by assigning more of policemen to their local states, because of course they will know the terrain, they will understand the system, they know the people, and also the issue of language advantage. So that's, for me, that is the high point of this discussion.
Yes.
Thank you so much
All right, thank you
for
very much.
sharing your thoughts
Yes,
on
ma'am.
the
Thank
program.
you for having me.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so that's our discussion today, and I believe that you have a better understanding of why we need state police, especially because the Afenifere group and Northern elders have started another agitation for the creation of state police. So we wait on to hear from the National Assembly now if that bill is going to be passed and if President Bola Tinubu is going to sign it into law. And of course, the government has to be ready to spend a lot of money to establish that structure and also to ensure that they create something that is beneficial to the economy and also to grow our economy. Thank you again, Mr. Adedayo Obatola, for coming this morning. I appreciate you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So we'll go on to the next segment of Summit, which is to showcase another package on developmental strides of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in Lagos State. And then we'll leave you with that. I'll see you again next time. I am Jumoke Michaels. Bye-bye.